Within the desert habitat of South Mountain Park lives an animal so elusive and secretive that many visitors to the preserve never have the opportunity to catch a glimpse of the colorful creature. Often mistaken for its venomous cousin the Gila monster, the chuckwalla, a lizard of large proportion, calls the mountain preserve home, with hundreds of thousands of the animals living within the park's boundaries. Now that construction of the Loop 202 South Mountain Freeway is underway, a number of the lizards are living in direct path of the new roadway. In an effort to keep the local chuckwalla population out of harm's way, Gila River Indian Community's Department of Environmental Quality, the Arizona Department of Transportation, and Arizona Department of Game and Fish have been working to relocate as many of the lizards as they can before construction begins.
We are collecting as many chuckwallas as we can find just before portions of the Pecos Road section of the Loop 202 are being developed. So we're going in sometimes literally a few weeks or even days before the bulldozers come in. We're trying to extract as many animals as we can to save them and to move them to safer habitat where they won't be impacted.
So this movement will bring them into new habitat alongside their brothers and sisters that are just uphill from them in South Mountain Park. So they'll be relocated a couple hundred meters, not very far from where they existed, but out of the way of harm.
Members of the team hiked the hills of South Mountain in search of chuckwallas to relocate. The group spent a lot of time in the desert looking very closely in areas where chuckwallas like to hide, sometimes searching up to 10 minutes in a single piece of habitat.
What we'll do is we will measure a straight line from their snout to their vent. The vent is their cloaca. That gives them a general size, general length. We'll also take a mass or a measurement of weight on them, and then we can take those two measures together later, and mass and length together will give us a sense of body condition for the population, how healthy they are. If they're very heavy, if they're really skinny, so on and so forth. In addition to that, there's a geneticist who's taking tissue samples off of these animals, and then we will be painting the animals' feet white before being released. We'll be doing a follow-up survey within 3 weeks in the area where we're dropping them off. And the intention of that follow-up survey is to see how they're doing, how many of those individuals have held on. So we'll see chuckwallas that don't have white feet and chuckwallas that do have white feet, so we'll know which ones are which.
The chuckwalla is a species of large lizard that can be found throughout the American Southwest. They reach lengths of over 15 inches, have wide flattened bodies covered in coarse scales, and their thick tails taper to a blunt end.
Chuckwallas are one of two iguanid lizard species that live here in central Arizona. They're rare, they're interesting biologically. They have a history in the culture of this community, so they're very special animals to us.
The orange-tailed chuckwalla, which can only be found within the park's sprawling 16,000 acres of native desert habitat, look different than other species of chuckwalla, with mature males sporting a black body and vibrant orange tail, while females have a mottled brown coloration. This striking variation has some biologists wondering if new genetic testing will show the mountain's population of chuckwallas to be any different from others in the area.
As we know, and we've learned over the past even decades of scientific work, there's great value in a diverse system. And if we find that these chuckwallas are indeed genetically distinct from other chuckwalla populations in the region, that means that they can be considered kind of their own population. They are very unlikely to be considered their own species, but even a little bit of differentiation, of genetic and physical differentiation from other populations will help us and other agencies understand that this is a population that is special.
Whether future genetics testing finds South Mountain's orange-tailed chuckwallas to be their own separate subspecies, or just your regular garden variety chuckwalla, one thing is certain. The Department of Environmental Quality, Arizona Game and Fish, and the Arizona Department of Transportation have saved a large number of the lizards.
Because they're unique, they're a real gem in the desert here, and they are one of the ecological assets that the community has and should be proud of, and even should celebrate. These chuckwallas are like no other chuckwallas in the world, And that's something to be proud of.